Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.
Happening now on Grid Tonight. The worst case scenario for the W Series came true. The 2022 season is over. Jamie Chadwick is a three-time champion now. Can W Series survive long term, or is it game over permanently? Cole Custer got penalized by NASCAR for being Chase Briscoe's wingman. Is the penalty fair, or just another example of NASCAR's inconsistency? And with Benjamin Peterson and Santino Ferrucci joining AJ Ford Racing full-time, this means Dalton Kellett is out. What's next for the Canadian driver's racing career? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambert from the Podium Finish, and with me this week, Joshua Burks, and we'll have a special guest joining us in just a moment. And got people in the chat room already. Hello, Daniele. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. And yes, we're on the air a little bit early tonight because it's late in the UK for Josh, and we don't want to make him step till like 1 o'clock in the morning again. And yes, you can see right there, we have Josh, and we certainly encourage everyone to comment in the chat room below, as Dan the Life's doing right now, and ask any questions you have throughout our program tonight. Now, Josh, I'm going to turn things over to you with our top story this evening.
Thanks, Kobe. Yes, and due to lack of funding, the 2022 W Series has come to an abrupt end, and they will not be traveling to the United States and Mexico to finish the year out. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we've heard rumors regarding the future of the W Series, and now we have answers after concerns surfaced publicly during the Singapore week. In a statement, W Series said the required funding from a recent investor was not received, causing the final 3 races to get cancelled. Now, this means that Jamie Chadwick is now a 3-time W Series champion. Chadwick has 11 career wins, 10 pole positions, and 18 podiums. And the photo here, courtesy of W Series. Now, we have Daniel Zerin from Racers, the girls behind the helmet, joining us for this segment. Daniel, with you being our W Series insider, how did we go from a series with such positive momentum to a stunning fall that won't see the W Series complete the 2022 season?
This is a big topic that will probably require a few hours to properly analyze, and it's something that I'm currently trying to get my head around also for a more in-depth feature. But I think we can go through a series of points that in my very personal opinion could help understand the situation a little bit better. I strongly believe that W Series has a place in motorsport, and that the project itself has such a great ambition that its impact has gone beyond the sporting results of these 3 on-track years. I strongly disagree with those that say that it's failed its purpose because it has not promoted a female driver to Formula One yet. I actually find this position quite naive, as anyone thinking that you can actually achieve that in 3 years doesn't really understand how F1 works, but also Formula 2 or Formula 3. I think the W Series has been far from a perfect execution, honestly, but it has succeeded on several levels, and the most important one is to help build the momentum for female drivers in karting and in Formula 4. I've spoken with many young drivers saying that W Series gave them the motivation to actually move from karting to race cars, as they could see a pathway without having to worry about the financial aspects of a Formula 3 regional series that many of them could not afford. The single most revolutionary feature has been, in fact, the selection process with that free-to-entry format. Nobody in motorsport has ever pioneered this before, So this is, in my opinion, a few hiccups along the path were to be expected in the first years because it is such a different business format, business model from other traditional motorsport championships. We are talking about a new business model, in fact, tested in some of the most hectic and uncertain global economic situations of the century, possibly. That said, things worked out pretty smoothly in 2019 when the series was off to a great start on the support package of DTM. DTM was a professional yet accessible platform, perfect for a new series. It had just lost the FIA Formula 3 Euro Series, which was really a big thing back then, and so being the only single-seater championship in the paddock in Germany and Central Europe made both figures, both on TV and on-track attendance, pretty big. It was strategically, in my opinion, a good call to start with DTM.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you there as well, because starting with DTM gave them a little bit of a leg up as well. It gave them a good running on the first attempt of the season as well. And everything had to be ironed out, but that's what the first year is always for. And as I know me and you have discussed several times, Daniel, as well, is the fact is maybe it jumped onto the Formula One bandwagon a little bit too early, and it was a bit too keen as well to get races outside of Europe as well. And it certainly looks to have been its downfall this season as well. But I do admit the W Series is a fantastic proportion to get females back into racing. For Emma Kymäläinen and Abby Eaton as well, they struggled with funding as well. They were pretty much out of it. Alice Powell, much the same as well. It's brought them back into motorsport. So the W Series does have a great place in motorsport. And as well, everybody was, I know I was critical, first of all, when it came in, because I thought this is the wrong way to go about it. We're segregating men and women's racing. But now, once again, they've come in, they've shown us exactly what they are trying to do with it, of trying to get younger female talent into positions where they can get up into Formula 3, Formula 2, and Formula 1 as well. It works brilliantly, and I absolutely enjoy it. Now, we've been talking a lot over the past couple of weeks, Daniel, as well, about its move, W Series, to Formula 1 back at the start of 2021. With all this going on, do you think F1 could have stepped in to save the day?
Ultimately, there certainly has to be a facilitated path to help move forward for the winners. The FIA Formula 2 and Formula 3 offered this one test day in a Formula 3 car, both last year and this year, which is great, but is not enough. Costs are so big in those two cities that it's simply impossible to get in without a millionaire's backing. And if Formula One and its closest feeder series are serious about these kind of projects, they have to be to open a door. Like Ferrari, for example, is taking on board and fully supporting the winner of the FIA Girls on Track Rising Stars program, which leads also to prize money. Which this was something a bit controversial for W Series, because it's great that all drivers get some money from the top down, but it creates also a situation where some of them are simply not motivated to move forward, which is not what you want if you want to be a platform and not an end point, which was kind of the issue at the very beginning, in my opinion. So could F1 do better? Sure. So much for the We Race as One and all these fancy, inspiring project names, but they clearly, unequivocally showed no interest in taking real action. This is, in my opinion, reveals a lot about F1. But at the same time, also the same can be said about companies. In my opinion, how many big brands are advertising themselves as inclusive and doing campaigns on gender equality and stuff, and how many of them are actually for real putting their money where their mouths are? In my opinion, not enough, and this is the number one issue for female sports, really.
Who knows, maybe Red Bull could have opened up their pockets as well. And if there was all the catering stuff there as well, maybe it could have funded the last couple of races as well. Now, Ben Schneider's watching on. Hi, Ben. He says, wish it were a more positive topic, but great to see Josh and Daniel on grid tonight. Oh, thanks, Ben. Nice to be here as well, filling in. And nice always to be working with Kobe as well, as a duo as well. Now, yeah, my opinion, yeah, F1 could have stepped in as well. I think they should have, because it needs to have the junior formulas on the calendar, especially in events like America, at the Circuit of the Americas, and Mexico City as well. A big drive for female drivers in those parts of the world as well, for female racers as well. We've got loads of them as well, racing and developing up through the junior series. We've got Haley in the NASCAR as well, providing a big show for us going to Xfinity next year. So there's a lot of push there to see more female drivers in the States and in Mexico. And it's just disappointing that we're not going to see W Series on the calendar there, but at least we got to see them in Miami at the start of the season. Now, of course, this tough decision was made by W Series to focus on long-term fundraising to enable the longevity of all female racing series into 2023 and beyond as well. Now, W Series CEO Catherine Bon-Muir said that these unforeseen circumstances were totally out of their control, and mentioned how women's sports receive less funding than its male counterparts, and W Series is no exception to that. W Series isn't in a position to make any announcements right now, but Mira says many positive conversations are happening behind the scenes as well. In fact, we heard just in Singapore that she was staying up all night as well, having conversations with members around the world as well. So that's looking absolutely fantastic. And she promises that they're doing everything they can to ensure the long-term financial health of the W Series. And finally, for Daniel as well, are you confident that they are taking a step back as well to focus on the long-term sustainability in 2023 and beyond will ensure the future of the W Series? Or, rather depressingly, is there a chance we might have just seen the last race in the series history?
This question is, in my opinion, also one that also Catherine Bon-Muir can hardly answer at this moment, or at least I'm sure she knows more than me and is working very, very hard to secure a future for the series, but it's hard to say right now. There's nothing fixed yet, otherwise they would have found a way to end the championship in the US and in Mexico, so they don't have enough security right now to say that it's 100% going to be back. But they are, I'm sure about this, they are working extremely hard. Catherine Bon-Muir is a really hard worker, a passionate woman about this project that she created, of course, and she will do everything in her power to bring it back. Potentially, the decision to focus on next year could make sense, and they already did that in 2020 with a fully cancelled season for the pandemic. So it's nothing particularly new to them. They did manage to come back, so I would certainly not rule it out a comeback in 2023 for W Series. But even if they have to take a season hiatus and being back with a new format in 2024, especially with some major backing, that will make sense because, as I mentioned, this is a project that belongs to motor racing. At this time, obviously, they have to make some changes because potentially. Also to the business model, without altering too much the mission and the features that made W Series identity, but something will have to be done. Also, there have been some other series halting their season and then coming back or evolving into something equally important. So, but so far it's really hard to say, and what is the direction that they will ultimately decide to take.
Yeah, personally, I hope we will see them back on the calendar next year as well. Maybe just at the European races as well. Maybe double the European races that we have and maybe make them double headers. I don't know, just something to make sure that it's an ever-present feel on the calendar as well. Well, my thanks to Daniel. We'll let him get off there and get some sleep. Although, what is it, 12:15 over there his time. So good night, Daniel. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to our second story of the night here as well. And it's another week and another big penalty in NASCAR. And Stewart-Haas Racing as well is at the center of attention once again. At the end of last Sunday's Cup race at the Charlotte Roval as well, NASCAR said they'd investigate the number 41 team of Cole Custer for possible team orders to help his teammate Chase Briscoe advance to the round of 8. Here's the audio of the 41's team radio, courtesy of Fox Sports.
I think we got a flat tire. Slow up. I think we got a flat tire. Check up, check up. Just fill it out good. Left. Little tire rub, little tire rub. Still there, still there. Fill it out good. Come on back. You're okay. Little tire rub. Keep coming.
Now, Custer appeared to slow down on the backstretch chicane entrance after talks of the flat tire you just heard from the radio. This move allowed Briscoe to pass both Custer and Austin Dillon for position on track, holding up a long line of cars as Briscoe pulled away. After reviewing data, video, and radio transmission from the final lap, NASCAR determined Custer's team violated Section 5.5 of the NASCAR rulebook. This rule requires all drivers to complete at 100% of their ability and takes action against anyone showing intent to artificially alter the race results. NASCAR has penalized Custer by fining him $100,000 and deducting 50 driver and owner points. His crew chief as well, Mike Shiplett, was also fined $100,000 and suspended indefinitely. Stewart-Haas Racing plans to file an appeal to big penalties in the last 2 races for this organization, and the photo taken by Jared C. Tilton for Getty Images. Kobe, bringing you back in, do you see this penalty as NASCAR's way of cracking down on team orders, or they opened up a can of worms?
Well, to be honest with you, Josh, I think NASCAR has done kind of both here, and it's really crazy to see this happening. And don't even ask me if I think they're going to win the appeal or not, because every time we've had a penalty recently, I said confidently on this show, there's no way they're going to win this appeal. Look what happened with William Byron. He won his appeal, and who knows, maybe Stewart-Haas Racing will win this appeal as well. There's no way of knowing yet, so I'm not even going to make a prediction, but NASCAR definitely slammed down the hammer here on Cole Custer at number 41 team, and they're showing all the teams out there that if we think you're going to be engaging in team orders like this to potentially help your teammate make it to the next round of the playoffs, that NASCAR is not going to tolerate this at all. But at the same time, they definitely open up a can of worms as well in terms of inconsistencies I talked about in the intro of the show. I know a lot of fans have talked about Chase Elliott and his incident with Kevin Harvick last year at Bristol, when Harvick and Elliott were battling hard for the win. Elliott had to come down pit road. His race was over, and then he decided to hold up Kevin Harvick intentionally and allow Kyle Larson to win that Bristol night race. And a lot of people are like, if Chase Elliott did that, then how come we're seeing this penalty now? Why didn't you penalize Chase Elliott then? And then the counter argument to that is, as they've explained, is that Chase Elliott on the radio decided to take it upon himself to, hold up Kevin Harvick and help Kyle Larson win that race, rather than being told on the radio by his crew chief or spotter to hold him up. So I guess that's where NASCAR sees those two incidents differently, but definitely they've opened up a huge can of worms with this. And once again, we're talking about NASCAR and inconsistent calls.
Yeah, we're doing it all season long, haven't we? We've been seeing these bad calls as well. And it's interesting, actually, that Scott Miller, the senior vice president of competition, said NASCAR had the right to react to the findings from the evidence they had, including, interestingly enough, data shown that this was done deliberately, as well as you were just talking about a second ago, Kobe. We've got a comment here from Chrome Diesel saying that the current playoff creates opportunity for manipulation of changing the outcome of cutoff races, but I'm fearing that might eventually happen with the Championship 4 race as well. We nearly saw it last year, didn't we, with a late caution coming out and a very quick restart procedure that nearly interrupted the race results as well. A Day in the Life says, I do not agree with the penalty because this puts them in a ball/strike area. It does as well. It's just getting completely bad as well. Just going on to what I was saying about Scott Miller saying that they had to react with the evidence as well. Miller did add on as well that we can't have teams manipulating the finishes of these races. They considered suspending Custer, but decided not to, following precedent as well. As stated on Sunday evening, they never intended to remove Briscoe from his round of 8 playoff spot because he was never told on the radio by his team that Custer was going to help him out. Therefore, NASCAR didn't view this as a coordinated effort. So very, very lucky as well for Briscoe to stay in there as well. But with 2 penalties in the last 2 weeks, there are some unhappy people at Stewart-Haas Racing as well. Kevin Harvick, I'm so confused as well. Tony Stewart, looking for a new weekend hobby, brackets, something not southeastern based, close brackets. If anyone has any ideas, something low drama and relaxing, preferably. Well, Rodney Sanders as well. I apologize if I've pronounced that wrong as well. Now, officially okay for a teammate to manipulate the championship race at Phoenix as long as no one says anything on the radio, even if there is live SMT data showing a guy running half throttle on the straights and jamming the brakes getting into each corner. Hashtag got it with the lovely thumb emoji as well for the okay. Now, Stewart-Haas Racing did release a statement saying Stewart-Haas Racing denies any wrongdoing and will vigorously defend its personnel against these allegations in its appeal with NASCAR as well. Now, quickly, Kobe, to you. Does Stewart-Haas Racing have a right to be upset over what happened to them after Talladega and here at the Charlotte Roval, or did they bring this on themselves?
And before I answer your question, Josh, I have some more comments in the chat room right here from Brandon Carlson from our Monday Grid Live Encore show, saying our shows share a bond on this topic. Consistently inconsistent, as you corrected right here. Here's our 2 shows share a common brand on this topic. Once again, consistently inconsistent. Yep, Brandon, that really seems to be the main theme around here. But Josh, to answer your question, oh man, it's been a terrible 2 weeks for Stewart-Haas Racing. At this point, they have to feel like NASCAR is absolutely picking on them. But right now, I know they just withdrew their appeal for Kevin Harvick with the number 4 car from the L2 level penalty at Talladega Super Speedway. They're going to appeal Cole Custer. We'll see how that turns out next week. But one thing that really got my attention is what Tony Stewart is saying in the media. Before we come on air, I was reading an article from the Associated Press, and Tony Stewart said basically if he didn't have to physically be at the racetrack, he would not be at a NASCAR race for the rest of this year. Tony Stewart is livid with NASCAR, especially the last 2 weeks. So Stewart-Haas Racing, that they're not happy at all what happened with them the last 2 weeks, and coming to Las Vegas this week. Hopefully, I think a big win for Stewart-Haas Racing wouldn't just be, Chase Briscoe advancing to the championship 4. It would be getting out of Las Vegas without suffering a 3rd penalty for a 3rd consecutive week. So I think that would be a big win for Stewart-Haas Racing if they make it through this weekend scotch-free.
Keep our fingers crossed for that then as well. And Las Vegas is always a good race as well. Now, moving on to our hot topic of the evening as well. And then we're moving from one state series to another as well, from stock car to single-seater. And we're on to the NTT Data IndyCar Series, as AJ Foyt Racing will have a brand new driver lineup in the 2023 season. Previously, we reported that Indy Lights winner as well of Benjamin Peterson will step up to IndyCar full-time with Foyt. But then it was announced towards the end of last week that Santino Ferrucci is returning to the IndyCar grid full-time, replacing the Andretti Autosport-bound Kyle Kirkwood in the number 14 Chevrolet. This left many wondering about the status of Dalton Kellett as well. Foyt reportedly was exploring options to keep him in the team in a 3rd car. Well, yesterday, Kellett released a statement regarding his IndyCar situation. I have made the decision not to continue with AJ Foyt Racing in the number 4 Chevrolet. This is not a conclusion I came to lightly, as both the team and I have dedicated time and effort to putting together a program for 2023. However, at this point, it isn't the right opportunity for me to move forward. My genuine and heartfelt thanks go out to AJ, Larry, and the entire Foyt team. I will always be grateful for my start in IndyCar and will leave their organization with amazing memories. In my time with the team, I grew as a person and as a competitor, and I'm proud of my contributions to their program. Being the underdog team is never easy, but we had some moments to be very proud of. I do not have any immediate updates on my 2023 plans. Until then, I also want to extend a big thank you to the AJ Foyt race fans. You all made my time with the team so special. I can't think of another team with such a dedicated following. It was an honor to be part of something that you all hold dear. And that was by Dalton Kellett. And we'll bring Kobe back in once again. Is Ferrucci to Foyt an upgrade of Kellett? Also, what could be next for Dalton's career?
I said, well, I know one thing, Josh. I know Santino Ferrucci is finally glad to have some stability in his racing career since he got replaced in the lineup at Delcorn Racing just a couple of years ago. Santino's been bouncing around as the super sub in IndyCar, filling in whenever a driver's injured, cannot go, and also getting some time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series as well. If you want a driver with like Santino Ferrucci, it certainly made a lot of headlines. So some good for his actions on the track and not so good for off the track. I certainly think that AJ Foyt Racing feels like that this is a young driver that they can potentially build around. Santino has such a great record at the Indianapolis 500. He's been performing extremely well in that particular race, and that's the race that Foyt puts most of their money in. So I think bringing Santino to the program is really going to help out his oval effort. But I don't know about the road and street courses we saw, last couple of years. Both of the Ford cars have really had a really tough time. And you see Kyle Kirkwood, a lot of people said that he was one of the best drivers to ever come up from road to India. So, and a lot of us thought he was going to be able to drag the AJ Foyt Racing Chevrolet to number 14 to a really good finish, kind of like we saw with Sebastian Bourdais when he was there. But Kyle Kirkwood didn't really have a good rookie season. A lot of disappointing finishes for him, and Dalton Kellett was right there behind him in the point standing. So both of the Ford cars were not on point. So it could be a struggle for Santino Ferrucci, as we've seen with Dalton Kellett in his 2 full seasons of IndyCar competition. And as for what's next for Dalton Kellett, to be honest, Josh, I don't really know for sure, because right now off the top of my head, I can only think of one IndyCar seat that's available, and that's the number 78 Juncos Hollinger Racing Chevrolet alongside the number 77 of Callum Ilott. That really seems like to be the only seat that's realistically available right now. I don't know if Kellett's going to be a contender for that or not, but right now it might be Kellett's best bet to get sponsorship in place to try to find that one-off Indy 500 ride. That might be his best bet right now, or potentially explore some options in sports car race. I know before he came to IndyCar full time, he ran a few races in IMSA's LMP2 category, and he won the LMP2 class. So that could be something Dalton Kellett could look into. I know he's not necessarily ready to go to sports car racing right now, but if you're unemployed, don't have a job, you might have to do something in the meantime if your goal is to return to the NTT IndyCar Series full time. Oh, and also I wanted to mention one last point where I go back to you, Josh. It's a shame that Dalton Kellett that he may not be on the grid in 2023, because I think he's an excellent ambassador for IndyCar, a great spokesperson, and I feel like his heart is in the right place on a lot of issues that are going on right now across society. So Dalton Kellett's a really good person, and it would be a shame to lose that type of person from the grid from a person point of view.
I completely agree with you as well. Love Dalton Kellett as a person as well. Such an honest guy as well, and such a lovable member of the paddock as well, and always open for a chat with NBC as well during all those rain and race delays we experienced last year as well. I'll never forget Indy 500 qualifying as well. He threw open these doors and had a conversation with them all as well. So let's hope he finds a seat next year alongside Callum Ilott, or maybe just the Indy 500 as well. Well, thanks to Kobe for that little bit. And now we're going to introduce another member of the team, because it's that time of the week again with Matt White from Grid History.
Everybody, Matt White here. Time again to give you an update from the Grid EPI, the Endurance Performance Index, as part of our grid ranking. This is our scoring system for the top GT and sports car drivers from around the world. 3 events to keep you abreast of from this past weekend. We'll start in Germany at the Nürburgring, where we had the latest round of the Nürburgring Langstrecke Series. Kim-Louis Schramm, Kuba Gamaziak and Luca Engschler winning on Saturday afternoon in the 4-hour race there. So congratulations to them. That's their second win in the last couple of weeks there. They've got one more round to go before the end of the season, where championships will be decided. There was a championship decided in the DTM at Hockenheim at the weekend. A tremendous crash on Saturday pretty much wiped out half the field from the weekend's proceedings on about lap 6 of the first race. But Lucas Auer got through it, and he came through to take victory on Saturday. Marco Wittmann, the former DTM champion, won on Sunday, his first win of the season. It came in the very final race. Congratulations to his BMW teammate, though, Sheldon van der Linde. He claimed the championship in the DTM at the weekend in the very last race of the season, so congratulations to them. And also on Sunday, we had the Indianapolis 8-hour race as part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge. a very, very tense 8-hour race that came down all the way to the last lap. And congratulations to Daniel Morad, Daniel Juncadella and Raffaele Marciello. There was a GT race. Raffaele Marciello was entered and he won. Of course he did. And that means he extends his championship lead in the Grid EPI. Here's an update on where we are standing this week after those races. Marciello now is 111 points clear now of Jules Gounon, who only came home 5th at the weekend. So the gap has widened. Juncadella, with his part of that victory, jumps up into 5th position in our standings behind Charles Weerts. And just outside the top 10 now is Christopher Mies, because he has been replaced in that top 10 by Danny Juncadella. So we can provisionally claim that Marciello is the champion. We've only got a handful of races left between now and the end of the year, and it would take a mammoth effort from Jules Gounon, who's probably the only man that can catch him now before the end of the season to catch him, to crown our very first Endurance Performance Index champion. So Marciello marches on, and we've got more sports car action to bring you this weekend. Also, while I'm here, not counted in the Endurance Performance Index, but it was an endurance race. Congratulations to Shane van Gisbergen and Garth Tander on winning the Bathurst 1000 at the weekend in supercars, and to Shane for winning the grid ranking for 2022. He cannot be overtaken, pretty much as the same as here with Marciello. So that's where we stand this week, and I'll give you another update on results and point standings on next week's show.
Thank you, Matt. Next, here are some more motorsports news stories. The NTT IndyCar Series will host preseason testing in early February ahead of the 2023 season at a brand new location. On February 2nd and 3rd, IndyCar will test at the Thermal Club, a private world-class facility which is located just outside of Palm Springs, California. This track is mostly used for club racers and sports car enthusiasts. IndyCar plans to use a combination of the North Palm and South Palm circuits, creating a 17-turn, 2.9-mile layout for the first test session of 2023, photo courtesy of IndyCar. On April 20th and 21st, we'll see the annual Indy 500 Open Test return. The entire field for the 107th Indy 500 is expected to participate. Then September 7th, the third and final IndyCar test session will take place at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. On the same week, they'll crown the 2023 NTT IndyCar Series champion. Teams and drivers will get an extra track day because Laguna Seca is getting repaved. Mercedes-AMG factory driver Maxi Buch surprised the sports car racing world by announcing a shock retirement from professional racing at just age 29. During Buch's sports car racing career, he won the 24 Hours of Spa, FIA GT3 European Championship, GT World Challenge Europe, and a podium in the Bathurst 12-hour. Those are some of his racing accomplishments. Most recently, he competed in IMSA's GTD Pro Class at Motul Petit Le Mans with WeatherTech Racing, and finished up the last 2 years in DTM with Mercedes-AMG Team Muka Motorsport. Buch recently got married and became a father to a newborn baby girl, so he's stepping away from racing to make family life his top priority. Photo courtesy of GT World Challenge Europe. And with DS Automotive's ending its partnership with Techeetah, they'll be joining forces with Penske Autosport to form the DS Penske Formula E team. There's a lot of potential with this new partnership due to a strong driver lineup. With Mercedes leaving Formula E, DS Penske signed defending Formula E world champion Stoffel Van Dorn and two-time Formula E champ Jean-Eric Berg, who continues his relationship with DS Automotives and makes the move with them to a new team. Championship and race winning experience, a good partner in DS Automotives. There's a lot to be optimistic about for this Penske squad that's been struggling as they look to be weekly contenders in Formula E next season and beyond. Graphic courtesy of DS Penske. And as he continues to recover from the concussion suffered at Texas Motor Speedway, Hendrick Motorsports driver Alex Bowman will miss the next 3 NASCAR Cup Series races. Bowman was evaluated today in Pittsburgh by Dr. Michael Mickey Collins, clinical director of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center Sports Medicine Concussion Program. Xfinity regular Noah Gregson will continue filling in for Bowman in number 48 Ally Chevrolet Camaro at Las Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville. But Hendrick is going to leave the door open for now to see if Bowman can compete in the season finale at Phoenix Raceway.
And taking a look at our schedule for the remainder of the week here. On Friday, we've got Women in Motorsport as well. Hear more information about everything that's happened in the W Series as well, and who is racing around the world. On Saturday, our normal show, the Grid Live pre-race, that's at noon Eastern as well. Sunday, the Grid Live wrap-up, 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Nearly said my own show as well about the MotoGP. That's how in tuned I am. for hosting. And of course, on Monday, you could join Ben and Brandon as well for the Grid Live Encore show as well. I'm sure I'll make an appearance there somewhere talking about Moto 2 or Moto 3. You don't forget as well, if you've enjoyed what you've seen here, don't forget to follow us on social media. And a big thank you to our Patreon supporters as well, Colin, Mark, Deshelle, and Robin as well. And don't forget, you can click on the link below to join our Patreon or buy me a coffee for a one-time donation. Also, use public.com to invest in the stock market as well. Use code GRIDnet to earn free stocks as well and get started and utilize the stock market for your own personal investment. For Kobe Lambeth at the Podium Finish, I'm Joshua Birch. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.